stages. Stage I honestly agree. I am not a liberated person. Still I am struggling. After liberation, what will be my style in the life? You are telling you have to act in this world. You have to use all these things. From your picture, what I just ordinary life you have to lead. The existing life you have to lead. Like you may not select or eliminate anything like that. After liberation, what will be what is the change in my day-to-day life?
For example, you take an instance of a child, innocent child, 2 or 3 years old. The child may have different kind of expression. The child may express fear, the child may express happiness, the child may express angry. It may angry upon his father and mother, it may be frightened upon some persons or anything. So, it expresses many feelings. But is there any child feel guilty of its feeling? No. Will never feel guilty of its feeling. So it may, whatever may be the expression, it goes along with the expression. It does not try to correct itself. So it has no necessity to correct itself. But even the child has some intelligence. So through intellect, you see, the child can ask some food from the mother, ask some food from the father, or some help from the father and mother. So with the help of the intellect, they can rely upon the father and mother. But the intellect he has not developed, he may be afraid of the other persons, some external person. So with the help of the intellect, he can have some relationship with the father and mother. But at the same time, the intellect is not be useful to deal with the feelings. The intellect is trying to not use the intellect to correct its feeling. But we are trying to correct our feelings. We feel guilty for our feeling. If you have some fear or sorrow or any unwanted feeling, we may feel guilty for that. If we may think that we should not be angry anymore. We think we must be always happy. Then when we have against our expectation, if some fear comes or anger comes, we feel guilty for that. So our intellect alone does something against ourselves. So the intellect has a duty, intellect has a business to do with the external thing. The intellect has no business to deal with our consciousness. But each and every child is in the liberated state. So the liberation is our natural state. We need not create liberation. The very nature of our mind is in the liberated state. So only because our intellect, whenever we are trying to correct ourselves, we are disturbing the liberation. So actually we need not disturb ourselves for liberation, because the disturbing itself is the disturbed state of liberation. But the liberation is our natural state. We need not create. And each and everybody can live in liberation, but if you use the intellect only to the external world. So the real problem is that we are using our intellect, against the feeling. We use our mind against the mind. We can use our mind related to the external things. But we have no option to use our mind against the mind. That is the problem.
So is it the state of mind? Liberation is the state of mind.
Liberation is not related to mind, but it is not a state. So it is a liberation of all states.
But we understand that it is already we are in a liberated state through mind only.
Through mind only, because understanding every transaction is related to through mind. But here the free flow of our mind is known as liberation. But the mind can be divided into...
In fact, the liberation is given to mind only, not to the... But since we are already a liberated...
So the mind is always in the liberated condition, but one part of the mind takes the role of the intellect. The one part is consciousness, the other part of the intellect. But the awareness is beyond both. Awareness is beyond mind. That is the basis of even consciousness and intellect.
So one part of the mind thinks that
is consciousness, and the other part is intellect. Intellect is having some knowledge, deals with knowledge. But consciousness is a conscious happening. All feeling, all emotions are consciousness. That is a feeling. But the intellect is not a feeling. Intellect is an idea, it is like a thought. But it is, but all feelings is just like fear, anger, sorrow, everything is consciousness, feeling, emotions. So here, whenever emotion is, all our emotions are undisturbed, the undisturbed emotions are known as liberation. Undisturbed feelings are known as liberation. So whatever comes in the conscious level, it flows. Because it cannot, nothing can exist more than a fraction of a second. So whatever comes in coming, it is going naturally. We need not worry about that. We need not even push away anything. Whatever comes will go away naturally. But we think we are unnecessarily taking some responsibility to correct our consciousness. That is the problem. So our intellect has the business only to do certain things in the external world. But it has no business in the psychological world. The conscious level, it has no business. So if we understand, we can use our intellect in the external world alone, and we are not using our intellect against ourselves, then everybody is in the liberated state. We can live, each and everybody, that is our natural state. We need not try to get our natural state, because we are already in the natural state. Only thing is, whenever we have some duty to correct ourselves, then we are unnecessarily disturbing ourselves, disturbing the liberation. So if we keep ourselves and without any disturbance, that is we are in the realized state.
Will my actions disturb my liberation? Actions outside, will it disturb my liberation?
So here, disturbing the reaction alone is the disturbance. Not the action. Here, whatever we are doing in the external world, it has some real result, some response in the psychological world. But we cannot take it as a reaction, as a disturbance. So it is happening. Whatever comes is coming through the external world, it has some reaction in the psychological world. So whatever happens in the psychological world, we cannot take it as a disturbance. But whenever we do anything consciously or intellectually to deal with the reaction, then only we are against the reaction.
Problem is, a child, when we are a baby, they are okay. They are more natural. When we are a baby, they are more natural. Yeah. When we grow, only all these problems come. If I remain as a baby, then there is no problem for me. But when naturally I am growing, there is a society. It has its own conditionings. Therefore, now I am against the society. Naturally I am a baby, a pure, a beautiful baby. The society conditioned me and damaged me. How I charge the society for this reason.
No. But gradually we acquire some knowledge and intelligence. But we can make use of the intelligence to deal with the society. But the intelligence is developed to deal with the society. But you make use of the intelligence to deal with ourselves. That is the problem. So you can make use of the intelligence. Because of the intelligence alone, you can have a good life. A baby cannot live.
Osho shown you other way. A communal life. Be away from the society. Liberated by people. Let us form a new. Even a free world, a communal life, an alternative way.
But the external world is concerned, we must have some order. But he himself even
it's a failure actually. He made it. It's a failure.
But it's a failure. So it has to fail.
That I know.
It must be a failure. That because in the external world is concerned, there must be order. There must be rules and regulations. We must follow. But if you, for example, if you enter into the traffic, you have to keep left. Otherwise, it will create a problem also to you and also to the problem.
For a safer driving, traffic rule is there.
So in each and every moment, if it is
To what extent we allow that thing to
this condition, you have to follow by rules and regulations. You are telling me. I am questioning how to decide these rules and regulations. Who dictates?
So
myself, somebody else, or somebody.
So it is a joint venture because we ourselves made the rules and regulations. If the rules is not, it is ambiguous or anything, it is unnecessary, we can change the rules and regulations. We make the rules for our convenience.
Without disturbing the other.
No, because it is a joint venture.
My life should not dash with the other man's life.
So we have some collectively we made some common agreement that we have to do like that without disturbing the others. At the same time, we must keep ourselves undisturbed by others. So we have some arrangement, we have some agreement. It is some made agreement. It is not natural. It is the invented agreement. So we can change it for our convenience.
Society is not nature.
No, it is not a natural one. It is a man-made one. We can rearrange it. But at the same time, psychological is a natural. We have to take it as a natural one. We need not try to change. Because it goes away, disappears. Whatever comes will disappear within fraction of a second. But we have now necessity to correct
it. No, that's the problem.
Yeah. But if it is late, we can have it as a knowledge. Because all registration may become the knowledge. That is also good. So everything is good. But at the same time, you have to inquire, is there any duty for ourselves to deal with ourselves psychologically or not? That you have to inquire and find out. So then only you can have the understanding, you have no business in the psychological world. Then only, if you do not come to the correct understanding, you will not take the decision like this. So to come to the correct decision, you have to inquire properly. Then only you can come to the understanding that you have no business in the psychological world. So all work is related to the world, but not related to the psychological.